low end of tidal volumes. You guys like, what? You're like, oh yeah, okay.
Casey's gonna cry.
No problem. The lower end of the tidal volume to the higher end. So one thing we're not going to talk about today, but I'm just going to kind of put over here to the side because it would be ARDS. And we'll talk about that next term, but ARDS is going to be low tidal volume, high rates, and alternative strategies, which is why we're not talking about it this term, which are more advanced modes of ventilation and other things that we do. So this is a term 4 topic. So, but that would be the first one. So we're not gonna do that one today. So we're gonna start with asthma. And what we're gonna have for each is what's the pathophysiology that's going on in the lungs. So what's happening that we need to be aware of. What are the settings? And what are the special considerations that we need to keep in mind? And I'll move that over. Yeah, we're just gonna go all the way across. And some of this we've actually been talking about along the way, so there'll be a couple ones that are newer, but for some of them, it's almost going to be a little bit of a review. So asthma we're going to do first. So what are the what's the pathophysiology you guys going on? Resistance and compliance, what's happening in the lungs?
Resistance.
Right, so we have increased bronchoconstriction. Yep, inflammation. Well, that kind of goes along, they don't have a lot of secretions. So, asthma patient comes into the ER. Let's just review. Your patient's coming in, they've got status asthmaticus, they're having an exacerbation of asthma. What do you guys do? Give them a bronchodilator, give them a breathing treatment, right? Right. What are you gonna give them? Albuterol, albuterol, make my patient better. Albuterol, what else are you gonna do?
Monitor, check their vitals, chart like
Okay, but what else are they going to need from us? Let's just give everybody a BiPAP. Oxygen! How about oxygen? What if the patient's desaturating?
Non-rebreather.
No, probably not a non-rebreather.
In the ER.
Couple liters, put them on a breathing treatment. Steroids, thank you. Remember term 2, guys?
Anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, this is all going to be on your boards, so let's bring it back up to the surface. So what does our patient need? We're just talking about an asthma patient coming into the ER. They need steroids. This is when we're going to give them systemic steroids. They need oxygen, and they need a breathing treatment. So you give them a breathing treatment, and their breath sounds go from low pitch to high pitched. What does that mean? Good. No?
Improved hearing. They're
Yep.
they're tightening up more.
It's getting worse. Okay, so what are we going to do now?
Intubate.
Intubate.
oh my
Wow.
god.
Who wants to intubate and manage an asthma patient on the vent? Not me.
Don't you give them a continuous?
How many treatments do we do before a continuous?
4.
3. Three back-to-back treatments. And if the asthma still hasn't broken, let's break the constriction, then you're going to put them on a continuous. And then it should be The wheezing, if it goes from low pitch to high pitched, it's getting worse. The higher the pitch, the worse the wheeze. If it goes from high pitch to diminished, then what does it tell you?
Oh,
That's it, you're done.
Really bad, right? Probably in good, getting ready to go on a vent at that point, but we're gonna talk about that more. So diminished to high pitched, better. High pitched to low pitched, better. So that's what you should be thinking of when you think of your asthma patients. So let's say this was okay. So this is our patient. They're coming in to see us. This is how they're presenting. They came into the emergency room, we put them on some oxygen, and we got some ABGs, and here's what they are. This is how your patient looks. They have a heart rate of 140, respiratory rate of 36, using their accessory muscles, and they have high-pitched wheezes. So we give them 3 albuterol
How long do you have to wait?
in a row.
Okay.
I did one, I assessed them, they're not better, I'm giving them another. Okay, so Karen. This is your patient now. Doctor wants to know your recommendations.
This is after the pre-treatment.
Uh-huh.
You would read them? Because what? Okay, so you would put them on continuous.
Okay. Who else? Hold on. Jeremy.
Continuous?
Why?
Because it's not getting better.
How do you know it's not getting better?
Because he's, he's breathing harder, and then he went from high pitch to diminished.
But his ABGs are fine.
Yeah, but it's high on the.
Maybe he's COPD.
Numbers are fine, but he's not fine.
Okay, just put him on a nasal cannula and go have breakfast.
No, I'm saying he's on.
Oh, so does a nasal cannula fix my ABGs? Ruthie,
You need to intubate that sucker.
why?
Because he's about to go into respiratory failure because he's breathing so much. Even though his ABGs are okay.
But why did my ABGs go from here to here? That has nothing, it's assume the patient's on a nasal
There's too
cannula.
much-
What does it,
The
what
oxygen
does a
is
nasal
not.
cannula have to do with my pH and my CO2?
If not managing. There's too
Kevin.
much stuff.
So the
Just
ABG is
physiotherapy.
normal, they're starting to compensate for it, and with that high respiratory rate, once they tire out and then they start wearing out their muscles, their respiratory rate drops, and then they're already compensated for that respiratory rate, so then they're gonna crash again.
Yeah, kind of in a nutshell, Alicia.
Thank you.
I know you've been waving your hand over there, I wanted, don't worry.
So it's our whole respiratory drive, and so it's the hypercapnic respiratory drive. Is that what you're looking for? And so the reason why we breathe, because the reason why we breathe is we breathe because we have a hypercapnic respiratory drive. And in that person, you're going from alkalotic to you're gonna start being acidotic soon. You're holding on to too much. Whatchamacallit? You're holding on to too much.
Whatchamacallit?
You're holding on to
We don't
so
have
much-
whatchamacallit on the
Yeah.
test.
You're holding on to so much CO2 and you're gonna crash. It's like what Ms. Prophet always said, you're always alkalotic before you're acidotic. So he's breathing at a rate of 38 to keep himself at 7.41.
Right, that's it in a nutshell. So if my patient's respiratory rate is 36 and 38, shouldn't my CO2 be really low? Here it's not, it's normalized. So instead of seeing this continue, this is actually worse for this patient even though it looks normal because they're physically still working like crazy, but they're not able to blow off their CO2. So yes, the next ABG after this is gonna be this one. 7.28, 64, whatever. Because this patient, even though they still have a high respiratory rate, what's effectively happened is their tidal volume's dropped.
Right.
Because they can't move the same amount of air anymore, especially because of all that constriction. So when you see an asthma patient, they physically look the same from your assessment and your eyeballs, but their ABGs have normalized. That patient needs to be intubated. So even though this ABG is normal, this patient needs to be intubated because they're about to really crash hard. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you'll see. So, but we want to intubate at very last, if nothing else is happening. Hear me?
They're skipping the continuous nap, or?
Yeah, at this point, the patient needs to be intubated. We can put them on a continuous neb on the vent.
It would be step by step, and just skip a step thing.
Yeah, because this patient, let's say this is the patient who probably was in an asthma attack for 6 hours at home and didn't come in. So by the time they get there, they're so tired out that even after 20 minutes, it's time to intubate them because they waited too long, which a lot of asthma patients do. They wait too long to come in.
Jeremy, do you understand that the continuous neb isn't gonna fix this patient?
No, I thought it was just a step by step thing.
Right, but we have to like jump over that continuous neb and be more aggressive.
Yeah, if you did 3 breathing treatments and you have this, then yes, you could do the continuous. Because my patient's still moving enough air
Yeah.
to be able to not ventilate them. That patient is not moving air hardly at all anymore.
Yeah.
So they need to, we can't do a continuous neb, we need to intubate, and then once we put them on the vent, we can do a continuous neb. And we will. Once they're on the vent, we're gonna keep slamming them with bronchodilators and steroids. Because one of the things we're gonna put down here is this patient's actually gonna be an easy wean from the vent. As soon as you get rid of that bronchoconstriction, you're gonna be able to take them off. Yes.
When do you know to put them on a steroid?
It's automatic protocol for an asthma patient in the ER with an exacerbation to be put on systemic steroids.
They didn't do it for my patient, that's why.
Well, they should have.
They just gave her a Duonab, and then the physician, I was telling the guys earlier, they just put on a Duonab, and then the physician came back in and was like, how many treatments did you have before this? And the girl said, I had 3 continuously, and I'm still like this. And then while we were doing the whole thing, then I was already hooking her up. I put her on. It was just a regular Duonab, and then the physician came back and was like, you know what? I think I want to put her more albuterol. And then so my preceptor went to grab one, and then so she was like, oh, stop the treatment right now. So there's enough so that I will still go. And so we put that one in, and then while she was scanning it in and stuff, she realized that the physician had ordered another albuterol, and so she had to go grab another one, and since it was just